Kirsten Lodge stood before an audience that had gathered not just to remember a legend, but to honor the man who lived, loved, and left his mark on millions. But more than anything, they came to hold space for her, a woman who had walked beside John Lodge through it all. The hall was hushed. There was something sacred in the air, a blend of grief and gratitude. As the first notes of a soft, moody blues instrumental filled the room, Kirsten closed her eyes for a brief moment. She wasn't on stage as a public figure. She wasn't standing as the wife of a rock icon. She was a woman speaking from the deepest part of her heart. When she began to speak, her voice carried both fragility and strength. "John," she whispered first, not to the crowd, but to him, as though he were sitting right there in his favorite chair, smiling that calm, reassuring smile he always had. "You were my anchor, my laughter, my quiet storm, and my best friend. You taught me what it means to love with grace and to live with courage. And even now, I can hear your voice in my heart." The crowd shifted gently, some wiping away quiet tears. For decades, John Lodge had been more than just a name on an album cover. He was the heartbeat of the Moody Blues, a bassist, singer, and songwriter whose music carried generations through moments of love, pain, and hope. But to Kirsten, he was something far more intimate. He was the man who made tea in the morning just the way she liked it. He was the one who still danced with her in the kitchen long after the music stopped. As she continued, she let the memories roll like waves. "When we were young, I never imagined the life we'd build together would touch so many people. I saw a man who loved music, yes, but I also saw the way you love people. You listened, really listened to everyone. You had this way of making anyone feel like they mattered. That's what I fell in love with. Not the stage lights, not the fame, but your heart." The screen behind her came to life with a soft montage of photos. Some were taken in concert halls, where John's bass guitar seemed like an extension of his soul. Others were more personal. Him holding her hand at the beach, laughing with their children, looking effortlessly content in the quiet corners of life that only the two of them shared. Kirsten smiled gently as the images changed. "You never liked big speeches," she said, a small laugh escaping through the weight of her emotion. "You always said, let the music do the talking." And it did. Every song you wrote, every note you played carried a piece of your soul. But I want the world to know something today. Behind that music was a man who loved fiercely, who lived simply, and who gave his heart without ever asking for anything in return. She paused, her breath catching as the room held her in collective silence. It wasn't just her loss. It was theirs too. Fans who had followed John's journey for over half a century felt as though they had lost a friend, a guiding light. But none of them knew him the way she did. "When you got sick," she continued softly, "you never complained. You worried more about how I was feeling than yourself. That was so you, John, always putting others first. And even in your final days, when the world grew quiet, you still found a way to make me laugh. You held my hand and said, 'Don't cry for me, love. I've had the greatest adventure.' And you were right. It was the greatest adventure. Every single day with you was a gift." Her words were not rehearsed. They flowed like water from a river that had been collecting stories for years. She spoke of their late-night walks, their shared love of simple pleasures, their dreams, their fears, their victories, and the silent moments in between. She spoke of the way John loved their family, not just as a husband and father, but as a gentle, guiding soul. Kirsten's tribute wasn't about a legend. It was about the man behind the legend. The music swelled softly again, this time a familiar tune, "Ride My Seesaw." The crowd chuckled lightly through their tears. John had always loved ending a night with a song that lifted people up. Kirsten looked up at the ceiling as if speaking directly to him. "I can almost hear you say, 'Don't make this too serious, love. You never liked seeing anyone sad. So today I choose joy. I choose to remember the way you lived, not just the way you left. I choose to smile because we had something extraordinary, something many only dream of." She took a step closer to the microphone, her voice strengthening with each word. "I want to thank everyone who's here tonight, not just for loving John's music, but for loving him. He felt it every single day. And to our children, our grandchildren, our family. You know how proud he was of each of you. He carried you all in his heart, everywhere he went. To the fans across the world, you were his extended family. Your love gave him strength. Your applause was his heartbeat. The lights dimmed a little, and a single spotlight fell gently on her. This was the most personal performance of her life, not sung, but spoken. "John, my love," she whispered, her eyes glistening. "Thank you for choosing me to walk beside you. Thank you for your kindness, your patience, your humor, your loyalty, and your endless love. I promise you, I will carry your light with me every single day. I will keep your music alive, not just in the world, but in my heart." She then slowly reached in her pocket and pulled out a small silver pick, John's favorite. She held it up to the crowd. "This little thing doesn't look like much," she said softly, "but it made magic. And that's what you were, John. Magic." The band began to play the gentle opening of Nights in White Satin, one of the songs that defined not just a generation, but their love story too. As the melody carried through the air, Kirsten placed the pick on the stool where John once sat, a quiet, final gesture of love. She stepped back, letting the music speak where words no longer could. Behind her, images of their life together continued. Wedding day smiles, backstage hugs, Christmas mornings, lazy summer afternoons. These weren't the moments the world saw, but they were the moments that made their love timeless. When the song ended, the entire audience stood. It wasn't applause. It was reverence. It was love meeting love. Kirsten took a deep breath.